Oh, really? Yeah, UV lights, UV sterilization is all about.
You know, they come down like off the step, or they kind of have a return. And just
I love alcohol.
out of the way.
That works great. That's true.
Hi, guys.
I used to work for a company that built.
Wait a few minutes. Okay,
Oh. This person.
we are
Is this?
Jennifer Dooley.
So Jennifer and Heather are going to.
Okay,
Oh,
we still have quorum.
Oh, I guess we have.
I will bring the meeting to order. This is a Campbell Civic Improvement Commission. To protect our constituents, city officials, and city staff, the city requests all members of the public follow the guidance of the California Department of Health Services and the County of Santa Clara Health Officer Order to help control the spread of COVID-19. Additional information regarding COVID-19 is available on the city's website at www.campbellca.gov. This special meeting will be conducted in person as well as telecommunication and is compliant with the provisions of the Brown Act. Members of the public may attend this meeting in person at Campbell City Hall. If attending in person, face coverings and physical distancing will be required until further notice. A video recording will be available on the city YouTube channel at campbellca.gov. Happy holidays, everybody. It's good to finally be in person.
Yes.
Somewhat feels normal. Why don't we do a roll call?
You need to call the meeting to order.
Meeting to order. Thought I did that.
Okay, Commissioner Naylor,
Present.
Commissioner Malcolm, Commissioner Brocker,
Here.
Commissioner Dooley, Commissioner Yoshikawa.
Here.
Commissioner Fields.
Here.
And Chairperson Kaufman.
Here.
Thank you.
Why don't we move on to announcements?
We have nothing.
Do we have any announcements?
Yeah, just some introduction announcements. And since we're new into this room, I thought I'd at least introduce the commission to the controls in the room and just how we operate these meetings, so everyone's comfortable. We've done this now for 3 times at a council meeting, so we think we've got it down, but if there's some technology issues, we'll work through them as we go. So the first and foremost, as you see when I'm speaking, I'm turning on my microphone. Signaled by the red light that's on here, and there should really only be one microphone on at a time. You'll notice if there's multiple microphones, like right now, Diana's microphone's on and there's a little bit of feedback. And when she turned that off, it disappeared. So if you hear that noise, look at your microphone, make sure it's not on. With regard to the Zoom meeting, what we're doing this evening is we're offering Zoom as a method for the public to participate in the meeting. We are not live streaming this meeting, but we are recording it just like we recorded our previous meetings. And they will be posted after the fact and be used by Diana to create the minutes for the meeting. So when there is public participation, what we will typically do is if there's members of the public that are present, we'll take the participation and the comments from the members of the public that are present at the meeting first. And when we're done with that, if the chair asks, either Don or I, we can queue up if there's members of the public on the Zoom call that want to speak. This evening, we've had no one registered, so I don't anticipate that happening this evening, but in the future, we would do the members of the public in the meeting first, and then the members of the public that are on the Zoom meeting second. I would, or Diana would be controlling those members, allowing them into the room. You will hear them in the house speakers as they speak into their computer, just as if you would in a normal Zoom meeting. And they'll hear you through your microphones and they'll see you on the computer screen, much like you see right here. We've set this on the speaker view for the reports, but everything that the public is seeing in the Zoom meeting, you are seeing here on your 2 screens to your left and your right, the exact same view. So, and then as far as housekeeping, if there's a recess or restrooms are needed, they are out these doors and just to the left.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Any other announcements? Why don't we move on to approval of the minutes?
Motion to approve.
So who, okay, yeah,
Commissioner
remember
Fields.
whenever you're speaking to push your mic. So Davis, okay.
Treat it like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, let me take roll call. Commissioner Naylor, Commissioner Malcolm, Commissioner Brocker,
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley, Commissioner Yoshikawa,
Aye.
Commissioner Fields,
Aye.
and Chairperson Kaufman.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to communications. Do we have any communications?
I don't believe you have any communications this evening.
Okay. How about oral requests? Any oral requests? None heard? We will move on to reports from representatives. Start with Jennifer Weeks, please.
Good evening, Council,
Good evening.
Commission. It is wonderful to see you in person. Thank you for having us here tonight. Thank you. Also, my slides are up, so hopefully I can do this in person as well as I did it in Zoom.
Undoubtedly.
So very festive atmosphere here already with your decorations. And so we are celebrating the holidays at the library with lots of wonderful events. I hope you have a chance to visit us in person and online. We have lots of wonderful cookbooks and holiday fun things to check out. And we also have lots of programming, both virtually and in person. So please do encourage that. You'll notice travel guides are mentioned there. So I think if we're all looking for warm places or planning your next vacation for later next year. So again, library has lots of great free resources. One of the newest things that we've just added to our children's online selections is Weston Woods. And many of you will recognize the titles, corduroy, all those different kind of classic picture books are now in a video format. It allows children to read along. It allows it to be read to them, and it can be very, very interactive. So I encourage you to, with the little ones in your lives, to check out Weston Woods, one of my favorite new resources. You here are so fortunate to be getting a renovated library. It also might be a fun time for you to take a look either in person or virtually at our other county libraries. So on our website now, we have virtual tours of all of our libraries. Your Campbell Express Library, starring Peggy Tomaso, is also part of that tour. And certainly when your new one is up and running, we will update that. But it is a fun way to look at the other community libraries throughout the district. So please do take a look at the website there. And before we know it, 2022 will be here. And in honor of a new year, we have some new library cards. So you can come on into the library and pick up whichever library card really speaks to you. And those library cards can further be personalized. Those little figures can be written upon, drawn upon, created with your personal touch. So we are encouraging people, of course, who have not visited our library for a library card. This is an opportunity to, we'll be doing lots of outreach. But additionally, if you have one that's maybe old or battered, you're welcome to come in and get a new one. So it's Create, Dream, and Discover at the library. Silicon Valley Reads will kick off at the beginning of 2022. The Power of Kindness, Resilience, and Hope, with 3 incredible memoirs. There will again be both in-person and virtual programs, so stay tuned. The Silicon Valley Reads website has a lot of wonderful things already on there. So read now so you're up to date. And lastly, we have our JPA board meeting in January, and on Saturday, February 5th, you will all be invited to our annual district forum, the future of reading. We're looking at some fun new topics that we will present. It will be held virtually. It is a large person event, so we're trying to tiptoe into this. So please watch your email for that invitation. And always happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any questions for Jennifer?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Peggy Tomaso, you're up.
Apologize. Hold on. Sorry, technical difficulties here.
No worries.
Just share it for myself.
They upgraded the lights here. Light compared to, used to be a little.
Nothing about technology.
Wire. Just like 100 watts. Like,
Yeah. No.
Sorry for that.
No problem.
Good evening. Started here. There we go. So the library is starting to gear up and start. Sorry. At the new location. We're going to resume our weekly story time starting in January. Towards the end of January, we'll have a weekly story time. It will be all ages, but geared towards toddler preschool age. We're also going to start monthly children's programs for school age children on Saturdays, the second Saturday of the month. And you'll see, I'll talk more about those the next time I come. Our travel program had 149 attendees on Zoom, and they're thinking about going back in person in January. So we're looking into doing that. They used to get 90 to 100 people in person, which we hope we don't get with COVID. But they're excited about coming back and doing in-person programming. So it's been very popular. So we're supporting that. The Friends, I was going to tell you about their book sale last week. They had their book sale on Saturday and they did very well. They made almost $2,000 on Saturday. So that they're supporting a lot of our programs. They pay for summer reading, prize books, and any programs that the library has. I also wanted to remind you that the library is going to be closed on Friday, the 24th and Saturday, the 25th, as well as the 31st and 1st of this year will be completely closed. Usually we're closed half a day the day before the holiday and then close the holiday because of the way they fall. We get 2 days off. So we're excited about that. Looking at our statistics, I wanted to point out that the new library card, you'll notice there's a big jump in one of those months that we had 2,000 library cards. That's because of our ongoing project of registering all the students in Campbell. So that was new cards for people, in the children in the Campbell Unified School District. So every year we go in and make sure any new students in the school get cards, and all the cards are renewed so that they can use them. So they all get virtual cards. And then they can also come in and get a physical card and check out physical materials as well. So we have been doing that. If you look at our gate count, if you think about, if you've been to had the opportunity to come to our express location, 7,000 people a month is quite a few people moving through that little space. So we always feel kind of busy, but it's a nice kind of busy. A lot of people just grabbing armfuls of stuff and checking it out. I don't know if you have any questions for me, but I have a question for you. Last few months ago, I'd asked Margarita if, because there's so many new commissioners and maybe some of you have, it's been a while since you've seen some of the library's resources, that I could do a quick overview maybe at your next meeting for 10 minutes, whatever you guys feel like you can give me 10, 15 minutes, and I can just go over some of the most popular and important resources that the library has and just kind of give you a taste of what you can get online still. So if you're open to that, I would love to do that presentation for you. You can let me know if that will work for you.
Yeah.
That's next month. It wouldn't be February. I usually do every other month. No, whenever you want me, I
Whatever
can do it
works
next
for
month,
you.
whatever works for you guys. But I just wanted to offer that. I think it'd be really good for the new commissioners. Just let me know.
Yep.
And do you have any other questions for me?
Any questions for Peggy?
Oh, I should go to the next screen with the
I just want to
statistics.
comment that when we visited, that, it was really impressive, the setup with everything that was there with computer stations and the amount of books and videos and everything else. I mean, for an express library, it's pretty well equipped.
We're trying to fine tune that collection and get things that people want in there. The circulation kind of shows it because some of our full-size buildings are circulating less than we are out of that express location.
Any updates? I know it's like years and years away, but any updates on the new library that are interesting so far?
Actually, Brian probably has more information than I do about that.
Yeah, I can tell you that as far as progress, and we talk about design, we talk about what the percentage of design is to construction drawings. And we've proceeded past 65%. We're getting closer to the 95%. Is what we're working towards right now. That's our next major milestone, which is very significant at 95%. You're just crossing the T's and dotting the I's at that point. But we're progressing very nicely. And I don't think that design, anything significant has changed since our last public presentation to the council. It's very consistent with what has been presented so far.
Great, exciting.
Thank you. Have a nice holiday.
Great, thank you, Peggy. Okay. Why don't we move to reports from staff? Brian, whenever you're ready.
Yes. I did mention the in-person meeting earlier. I've got everyone back in person. It's nice to see everyone again. For those of you who haven't been to City Hall before.
Thank you. For those of you that have not been to City Hall before, we'd be glad to, at the appropriate time, if tonight's not it, to give you a tour. Maybe next time when you come, if you're prepared for that, we'd be glad to give you a tour of City Hall, just to make sure you're comfortable with City Hall. I did want to announce that tomorrow evening, we're having a special city council meeting for purposes of discussing the housing element, which is part of our general plan development. Some of you are very familiar with that. I know Commissioner Brocker served on the GPAC for that commission assignment. And tomorrow night is sort of the culmination of several meetings of discussion on actually selecting potential housing sites for our next housing element cycle. It's an 8-year cycle, so it's not housing that will necessarily be built tomorrow, but it'll be built tomorrow, the next day, and over the next 8 years, or at least be authorized to be built. And so that is an important meeting. I would encourage the CIC to stay tuned to that, and any of your neighbors or constituents that are interested in housing. Certainly, it's a very important meeting. There will probably be a follow-up meeting from that in January if we don't get through all of the material tomorrow night. But that will set the stage going forward with kind of this map of future inventory of sites that we're identifying, and then through the general plan and through the housing element, the city will set up implementation measures of how that gets implemented, how the zoning changes, and other encouragements to make sure that housing gets built. And then next Tuesday on the 21st is the city council reorganization. That's a fancy term for the rotation of mayor and vice mayor on the council, where they will be selecting from among themselves next year's mayor and vice mayor. We call it a reorganization. I would again encourage commissioners, you're more than welcome to attend either on Zoom or in person. In normal situations, we would have a nice reception afterwards, but we are foregoing that this year in light of COVID. So it probably won't be as exciting, but I do want to encourage you to participate in that as well. And then last is that City Hall will be closed from December 23rd through the 31st. Certainly we're available. I'm available if you need something by email. We will be certainly responsive to that. And then the next city council meeting will pick up January 18th of 2022 will be our next council meeting. So that's it for my report.
Thank you, Brian. And yeah, I would encourage all commissioners, if you can attend tomorrow's meeting, as well as the reorganization, that would be great to have some sort of showing.
Yeah,
And any questions, comments for?
I was just going to say, I watched last week's planning commission meeting, which kind of dealt with the same subjects. And that it was lengthy, but it was interesting because there was not any part of Campbell that wasn't discussed.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting what's going on with the general plan, and anyone who isn't aware or in tune, it will affect everybody in Campbell to some degree, hopefully in a positive way. I encourage everyone to participate.
And the housing element, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but the housing element they're discussing, it's mostly in regards to the 3,000 units the state wants us to find or come up with, right?
That is correct. The state develops a plan for what they think is the growth in the state, and that gets allocated among the counties and cities proportionally in a very complicated process. But once we get assigned those numbers, you're correct, Commissioner Brocker, it's about 3,000 units. And people would describe them as 3,000 units have to get built. There's a fine distinguishment there. Because we're not required to build these units, we're required to enable them. But the state laws have changed so dramatically over the last couple of years that we do have to not just enable it, but we have to encourage it, facilitate it. Short of building them, but we have to commit to a lot of things to ensure that those housing units are not just enabled, but that there's some encouragement programs to establish those units to be developed.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Brian? Why don't we move on to reports? I'm sorry, new business, Campbell Cares. Thank you.
So I'll just tee this off. This is just there as an opportunity to provide any updates from Campbell Cares program. There was some previous discussion about addressing neighborhood blight and what we as a commission or as a city can do to help facilitate some of these properties that maybe the homeowner is elderly or doesn't have the ability to clean up their property. And if I'm not mistaken, I think what we're talking about is visual blight, not necessarily people with hoarding in their house, but how does that yard look and how does that impact the character of the neighborhood? How does that impact the impressions of the city? And I think that was the discussion the commission had. I wasn't here for that discussion, but that was my understanding. And I will certainly I'll leave it at that and let the commission take it from here.
Am I the only one here from that
Yeah,
subcommittee?
Commissioner Brocker. I
Yeah,
think
no,
you're the
well,
one.
since I suggested, I don't mind talking about it. But yeah, as Brian described, that's, one of the things I did want to suggest or change is maybe not use the term blight. I was trying to come up with a better phrase or word for it. 'Cause I'd hate for anyone's property or front yard to get identified as blighted, or as blight. But yeah, it'd be nice to develop a plan to help out those either, fixed income, limited income, elderly or otherwise. And because the example I would give is in the last few years, for example, in my neighborhood over in the San Tomas area, I live in the neighborhood where it's got the rural look, okay, where not all there's not curbs everywhere, okay, and sometimes it's even open dirt. And on Virginia Avenue, okay, they came through and actually installed curbs, and my God, it just transformed that whole section of the neighborhood. And it actually triggered people doing other things like cleaning up their yards and mowing their lawns. And granted, there are people still who, kind of carryovers from the drought have not done anything with their lawns. But that doesn't mean, maybe we find somebody to donate some tan barkers or some mulch or something, and we can cover things that way. Or, there's all kinds of things that can be done with, trimming bushes and, minor front fence repairs and stuff. So the good news is that the Campbell Rotary already has a group that does this. It's not as organized and as frequent as kind of what I'm proposing or what I'd like to see done, because it'd be nice if we could have like a service day once a month or at least quarterly after we identify some properties. You know, and I was thinking also this would be a great way to interact with the neighborhood associations. Because we could get candidates or suggestions from the neighborhood associations along with code enforcement. So Randy Sweet, our code enforcement officer, great guy. I've had a couple conversations with him about it, and he was like, oh gosh, this would be fantastic. I would love to have something like this happen as opposed to, you know, having to talk to somebody about potentially like a being cited or fined or something like that. But how great would it be to, you know, for people to help their neighbors in the community. So, so that's the long and short of it. I kind of have yet to draft up a formal plan for this, and we have the committee, the Campbell Cares Committee subcommittee is yet to meet about it. So that'll kind of be the next step after we get everybody's input. I mean, I don't want to be the sole, you know, but I see this, you know, down the line as being, you know, a nice way for neighbors to help neighbors, and in the process kind of beautify, you know, everybody's neighborhood, you know, improve the curb appeal all over. So, you know, and I know that makes everybody in the neighborhood happy when there's not that one house, you know.
Absolutely. And I was wondering, Commissioner Brocker, do you know of any other cities in the Bay Area that have a similar type program that we can look at and maybe use as a model of some sort, or at least take ideas from?
So I've heard of similar programs. Okay, so like, you know, like Future Farmers of America programs and 4-H programs have had things like this. I was in the JCs before I aged out, but the Junior Chamber of Commerce, the JCs, they've had programs like this. So there's other examples, but I honestly don't know if there's other cities that have a program like this. I mean, you know, if I could do my dream setup, it would be to kind of mirror the setup that we have with the theater, where we have a separate group, nonprofit. It's actually its own 501c3 that's able to accept donations on behalf of the group and do things on behalf of the theater. Well, it'd be great if eventually we could set up a 501c3 for this volunteer group to be able to accept donations of whether it's funds or maybe, you know, tools like equipment. By the way, I'm willing to do seed tools, so to speak, because I've got more stuff than I know what to do with at the farm. We've got decades and decades worth of shovels and rakes, and even I think there's even a couple boxes of gloves over there. But it'd be nice, you know, because then it would be easier for, say, like Home Depot or the new what is it, Outdoor Supply Hardware, if we got hit, you know, went to them and asked for donations for this beautification project. It'd be, you know, they could get official recognition for it if we were able to do that at some point. So, so anyway, sorry, a long-winded answer to your question. I don't know of any cities that officially do it, but I'll look into that.
Yeah, maybe that's something to look into. And also after the subcommittee meets, put together, if you want to do it a PowerPoint or just some sort of pamphlet so that everyone can kind of see what the outline is, because I think it's a good idea. It's obviously a need within the community. Probably every community needs some of that. But certainly Campbell has pockets that are in need. Yeah, including my neighborhood. Start there, that's all.
Well, as soon as I started talking about it, even just amongst friends of mine, everybody was like, oh yeah,
Yes.
there's that one.
I know exactly the candidate.
If I could just jump in, one of the things that is, when you talk about Randy Sweet, our code enforcement officer, is cities find it very difficult to compel people to do something. It's very easy for us as a government organization to stop things, but we're not very well prepared with our structure and the legal requirements to compel people to actually do stuff. So it's good. It will require the property owners to volunteer to have that. And I think there's a component when we do code enforcement of people who will say, heck no, I won't do it no matter what. I'm going to go down fighting. And there's people that will say, oh, I'm embarrassed that you're here. I'd be glad to clean it up. And then there's those that say, I'd be glad to clean it up, but I don't have the resources or physical ability to do so. And I think that's the target that we're trying to hit. So it won't occur with all properties. Some property owners will still say, I like the weeds and stay off my property, and it's not going to solve those problems. But for those, and there is a distinct element of those
Yes.
that is frustrating when we talk to our code enforcement officers. There's nothing we can do to help those people because we as a city can't go out and expend public funds to do that.
Right.
But if there was a mechanism through a volunteer commission or volunteer corps, that would be a good solution to that.
Yeah. And I think we talked about that last time, just to make sure there's no ordinances that would be violated by some sort of program or.
And like Brian mentioned, again, as long as we have the permission of the property owner, or the tenant, it's, that's the linchpin right there. So.
Great.
An idea might be to reach out to the senior center and just to promote the program that way too, because there are seniors out there that are challenged to have their, properties taken care of if they can afford that or even be able to get out there. So we might consider doing that, reaching out to the senior center when we start to promote this.
That's a good
I'm
point.
almost worried about getting inundated with requests. Yeah, exactly.
That's to the point of identifying in the program how these would be prioritized, either first come, first serve, or based on some sort of merit requirement. I think that'd be part of the program too.
All considerations.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Anything else on Campbell Cares neighborhood, not blight, but improvement maybe?
I forgot. I sent some suggestions. I think one of them was just, refer to it as the neighborhood beautification program or just neighborhood and civic improvement, so I forgot. I can't remember what's that? Oh, that's great. Oh, I like that.
It's better.
Yeah. Yeah, anything's better than blight. Oh, that's a good.
Is that wording?
Great. Anything else on that subject matter?
So as far as what we've got here, I mean, we've discussed a little bit about property identification and such, and working with the neighborhood associations. There's still a lot to be worked out, obviously, with the logistics of it. I've thought through it long enough that I think I have a lot of it worked out, and there's already similar. I mean, the city's got such a fantastic volunteer program, and it's so well organized between the library, the museum, the theater, and whatever else. I mean, it's actually big enough that we have an annual luncheon to acknowledge all of the city volunteers, which is great. I've attended it on behalf of the theater more than a few times. And so, logistically, there's a tracking thing. We would be tracking people, getting them to sign their, waivers and such, and acknowledgements, as well as then if they've worked enough hours, then they get their invite to the luncheon. So there's a lot of actually processes already in place to support it. So, and I have had a couple discussions with the people, with the folks at the Rotary Club, and they're interested in kind of coming on board. So we'd have a, kind of a core group almost right away.
Yeah, and I'll suggest, I'm a member of Rotary. They're always open and looking for presenters at their meetings.
Sure.
So if that's something you're interested in doing,
Oh,
Let me
I'd be
know.
happy to go and speak. Yeah, not a
it
problem.
could be a good idea because they're very supportive of programs like that.
Another idea might be to involve the youth commission because they'd be
Yeah.
very energetic
you.
and want to do that and invite their schoolmates too.
Maybe in the interest of forward progress, since I think we found on Explore Art that like coming in and presenting what we're doing and getting a vote or anything, like, do you think doing that next meeting is feasible to just have a proposal of how to start?
Well, if that's it, if the subcommittee can meet before then, yeah, I'd like to hash some things out and found.
Yeah.
That might be a little aggressive, just because it'd be nice to meet the subcommittee and we can chew on it a bit.
Yeah.
And then come back one more time and then be prepared to present, so it may not be until like February or March. I hate to delay it, but
Yeah, no, absolutely. You definitely want to collaborate with the subcommittee, put something together. Don't present till you're ready and hash out some of these items.
I mean, I could draft the whole thing out, but I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be any kind of unilateral efforts.
No,
Well, sometimes that's what
Yeah.
it takes, and then, people can have input, and if they don't like things, they can
Well,
give you feedback.
yeah, and I'm just saying that because I know just from Explore Art, it was like, you do that, there's some follow-ups, then you get going, and that's why I'm asking.
Sure, I
like,
get
just
you.
For the sake of,
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, it would be great if this was ready to go by spring,
sure.
for the good weather season, and that's when we have our first rollout, and we can, maybe try having quarterly service days or something and see how things go. And that's assuming we can get selection criteria figured out, which that I can see taking a little bit of time, but so.
Any other comments on that? Okay, why don't we move on to the work plans, since we have a lot on here.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think that what we were going to discuss from the work plan was just the subcommittee assignments. The actual work plan, we'll talk about that in January. But at the last meeting, you had wanted to add this to the agenda so we can finalize who all of the subcommittee participants will be, the members of
Yeah.
each.
So one thing I did want from the commission is on this work plan, first and foremost, the subcommittees, whether or not they look accurate, or if anybody has an issue with being listed or wants to be on a subcommittee that they are not listed on, we should talk about that. And then just the overall work plan, to me, the outline looks to be in order, but want to make sure that anybody, if they wanted a chance to pipe in, had a chance to.
I think we
Express.
have too many subcommittees.
Too many.
Yeah. Like, I guess, is there any best practice for a 7-person, commission of how many subcommittees you want? Because I don't think it's 8.
Well, here's the reality of subcommittees. I think there's
Yeah.
some ebbs and flows to them.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there may be 7 subcommittees on here, and I think we broke up the Explore Art subcommittee into a couple, because murals in particular is a huge project, as is the gateway signs and the overall Explore Art program. So to me, murals, gateway signs, Explore Art is really one large project, so to speak, but broken up in different subcommittees. So I have no strong feelings one way or another. So if anybody else wants to try to minimize the subcommittees or at least consolidate.
Well, it's street
I'm open
name
to
is
hearing
so
that.
infrequent, so. I was even gonna suggest one more, but
Suggest it. I mean,
I'll wait till the good of the game.
And I guess I just had a question on the Explore Art, how that's broken out. I just want to confirm and make sure that I'm understanding correctly. So for sidewalk chalk art solidarity panels, is that Fields, Kaufman, Yoshikawa? And then murals is Fields,
Well-
Kaufman, and Malcolm, and gateway signs.
it seems as though to me, Explored Art has been Fields, Kaufman, Yoshikawa, and then Malcolm wanted to be part of the mural subset of Explore Art. The sidewalk chalk art and solidarity panels, frankly, was you. And I think others maybe wanted to be involved, and you would know better than probably anybody who else was working on sidewalk chalk.
Well,
and
we were,
solidarity.
I mean, it was the original subcommittee, the 3 of us, right?
Mhm.
And so that's getting, that's pushed to the spring. The solidarity panels, who knows where that is. So, I mean, nothing has really changed on. I just
I
want to,
would-
I just want to understand the
Yeah.
breakdown of where, where I need to be or where.
Yeah, no,
who's
it's a,
where, so
it's a,
that's
it's a
all.
good point to
I mean,
bring
in the
up.
interest
So
of throwing suggestions out, I would re-merge the
Mhm,
art
mhm.
program, murals, chalk art, solidarity, and just put it. back together.
Gateway signs.
I think gateway signs is interesting because I like the neighborhood association pairing. Because the premise was we were working with the neighborhood associations.
Right.
But I think I'm pretty confident Explore Art, Sidewalk Chalk, Solidarity, and Murals, we could just
Mhm.
condense back together and that would clarify.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't have more than 3 commissioners, so Malcolm wants to participate. Someone else would have to.
Right.
Well, I'm happy to bow out of solidarity panels, sidewalk chalk art, murals if Commissioner Fields, Commissioner Yoshikawa, and I know Commissioner Malcolm, I assume the 3 of you definitely want to be a part of that subcommittee.
I mean, I'm also willing to bow out if I need to. I mean, if I need to make space, I can certainly make space.
I am
for it.
unwilling to bow out.
We are unwilling to let you go. Why don't we do this? I'll bow out of that for the time being, and we can maybe,
I'm just concerned, sorry. I
Yeah,
just don't
she's
want
not
to,
here.
without Commissioner Malcolm here, I don't want to really make any,
No,
we
that's
can
a
make
good point.
suggestions, but, I don't know if we want to put this thing on the agenda for January or what, but I just hate to make any determinations on that without somebody who voiced.
That's fine. I
So
mean-
perhaps we could reach out to Commissioner Malcolm, confirm their willingness. If that's the will of the commission, we'd be happy to go forward with that. And if not, then we could put it back on the agenda. If we reach out to Commissioner Malcolm, if they're willing to participate, then I think we're good. And if not, then we'll report back at your next meeting to
Yeah,
rediscuss
or
it.
if she has a strong interest, I mean, if it's just willing, like, sure, I'll do whatever, that's one thing, but
Okay.
I believe that she had.
I think she had a strong
pretty-
interest in the
yes,
mural
exactly.
program.
So,
We'll confirm. And then if
Confirm
not,
that.
we'll put, if
And if
there's
not,
any
we'll put
questions
it
or
on-
discussion needed, we'll
okay,
bring it back.
thank you.
We'll put it on for discussion at the next agenda item or next meeting on the agenda if necessary.
Okay, so can we just go through and say who, for Explore Art programs, who the participants will be? And it sounds like we're going to combine murals under Explore Arts. It's going to become one
Correct.
committee. Is that what
So,
that?
yeah, so what I would suggest, Diana, is under the Explore Arts and murals together, we would have Fields, Yoshikawa, and Malcolm as the commissioners for those, both Explore Art and murals. I'm sorry, under the Explore Art programs, yes. I'm sorry.
The only issue is with the gateway signs, neighborhood association. We have been promoting that as part of the Explore Art program.
Mhm.
And in addition to that, there's been suggestions that maybe we don't want to collaborate so much with neighborhood associations as individuals, because potentially you could come in run into some roadblocks with particular board members in particular neighborhoods. Not that there's any real concern, but I think that was part of the feedback at the city council. So why don't we table this and put it on for discussion on the agenda at the next meeting in January?
So we'll hold off confirming with Malcolm, Commissioner Malcolm then, and we'll just
Yes.
take care of it at that meeting.
And hopefully she'll be.
Are we setting a
In
new
attendance.
work plan in January too?
Yes.
Mhm.
So maybe just downstream of that anyway is a good time to be doing this. So,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, in
absolutely.
other words, I agree with the tabling seems fine since we were gonna do the whole plan anyway.
Great. So was there any, did you want to go through? I mean, I think that we can table going through the committees. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments on the work plan that anybody has? Perfect. Let's go to old business. Explore Art Project, Stories for Solidarity panels.
Would you like to
think-
give an update?
Want me to take a crack at this?
Sure, why don't
Sure.
you, why don't you go ahead and update us,
And,
Brian?
and then certainly jump in if I'm misspeaking or misleading in any way. This program was presented to the council. The council had expressed some interest in understanding the panels that are going to be put up, and there was some concerns. Just that there was some understanding of these panels. And the commission put forward, the subcommittee put forward 8 panels, was it? 9 panels. We've shared those with the council, and as with any body, you don't get complete consensus of what people like, and it is art. So what some people think is art, others may not. And we provided that feedback and dramatically, I think there was 3, maybe 4, I think there was 4 panels that there was some uniformity of acceptance for. And we've shared those with the subcommittee. And that's kind of where we stand with that. I know it must seem frustrating that we come up with ideas and maybe there's 9 potential panels and now we're left with 4 that the council's happy with. And that's where we are. So I'm not sure if it's worthwhile to still do, if the subcommittee wants to push forward. I know the intent was to try to get those installed last week, I think, out here outside the museum, but the weather's been sour. And in light of the feedback, I think that's where we are with it and maybe want to revisit where we're going to go with that, with those panels. Is that accurate, Marion?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the weather being sour.
Okay.
It has more to do with the council being sour. Yeah, it's really, just very disappointing that we've tried to do this for well over a year now. Yeah, it's just very disappointing. I don't even know if it's worth doing without with the roadblocks from, council.
Well,
There are other people asking to display these that want to be progressive and show this very historical work. And so as much as, I would love our community to see it, I would much rather the history be shown and shared and loved instead of just denied all the time. So, yeah, it's just very discouraging and very disappointing. And I spoke with Carrie Perkins, the director of the museum. She has never once gone to council to have any feedback or permission for any of her exhibits. And this is a first. So Carrie and I do plan on meeting with the council if we want to continue to pursue this and push forward for this, amazing exhibit. If we choose to just scrap it and let Stanford have it, or, Los Gatos or another public place that wants to install art, meaningful historic art, then, so be it. So we will, Carrie and I would like to reach out to council and of course with you, Brian, to have a discussion and kind of find out where they're coming from or what the issue is, because, she has curated many exhibits for many, many years, and she's, she's never dealt with this pushback in the past. And we both understood it as it was vetted by the commission, it was vetted by the subcommittee, it was vetted by the director of the museums. And it was just going to be like an FYI, like, hey, council, this is what's happening. We'd love to hear your feedback, but we in no way understood it to be a permission, you will give approval for these panels going up.
Well, my understanding is that any feedback we give to city council or recommendations we give to city council, they always have to approve. we can't just have carte blanche to submit something to city council and whatever we've set forth, they need a rubber stamp. And I think that rather than scrapping the program because not all of it got approved or got the stamp from city council, I think we should focus on the positive that there's 4 panels up there that otherwise wouldn't be up there.
We're not going to put up 3 or 4 panels
Why not?
because that is not an adequate display of that art. When you're talking about hundreds of panels that were up around cities, particularly downtown San Jose, where these particular ones came from, but also Redwood City, all around the world. It's not, we're not talking about San Jose or the Bay Area. I mean, it's more than a movement. It's more than all of that. And I'm not willing to take 3 or 4 of the panels where they could be in an exhibition somewhere that's very meaningful and proudly displayed. I'm not willing to remove those and just cherry pick a couple I'm not willing to do that. Or I should say, neither are the Stories for Solidarity, because they're like, if somebody wants these and they want to display them proudly, we would love to give that a free, beautiful art display.
Well, that's a
And-
discussion to be had. I think it would be a shame. I think that.
It is a shame.
as
You're right.
Stories
It
for
is a shame.
Solidarity. I mean, some of those panels, to be honest, they are politically charged panels.
Correct. And none of those panels were presented to this commission nor the council. Every one of the 9 were peace, love, brotherhood, allyship, support.
Well, I don't know if that's entirely true.
Okay.
How many panels are we talking? I know this predates me and I apologize for my ignorance on it, but how many panels are we talking about? I mean,
There are 9 panels. I
Well, you said there's more than
I
the-
shared the link. Oh, yeah, there's,
well, how many ideally would we like to display, I guess is what I'm asking.
oh, well, I would love to do the 9, but we don't even know if they'll fit because we haven't had a chance to try and like puzzle them together.
Oh, okay.
So,
This is at the museum, right?
at the museum, yeah,
Okay.
just across the street here, on the exterior of the museum. So.
Okay, because
So-
Carrie reached out to me about helping with some materials to,
Right.
to put 'em
right,
up,
as a-
and
Yeah,
I
we
said-
spoke as well.
yeah, oh, that's right, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
So let me understand, right now, there's room for all 9 panels, but only 4 got selected by city council or approved. to be placed there.
I can't confirm that there's room for 9. We think that that would be a good number as far as the spacing on the exterior of the museum. And, and that was also, we probably could potentially try to fit 10 or something, but we really wanted to just pick 9, the most benign, the benign 9.
Well, I don't know where to solve this issue tonight. That's the update, and I appreciate the frankness, Commissioner Yoshikawa. And I think it's important to get feedback from the council. I've received that feedback, and I can tell you that it's when you have 5 different people, you get 5 different opinions. And there are some that even feel more strongly that none of those panels should be put up. And so therein is where we lie. And I think Commissioner Kaufman's correct. We have to be mindful that this body is an advisory body to the council. And it's an appointed by the council. And so we are trying to set up programs, and this is probably a lesson learned where we probably need early engagement, early feedback, because it is frustrating at the end of the process to get feedback that's not anticipated. And I totally understand that. And that probably can be somewhat avoided by some early discussions, perhaps, and bringing stuff forward to the council more early and getting that feedback early. And I'd be glad to work with you to get feedback so that you could hear that from them. But I think we have to be mindful of that as well, and mindful of the political climate and the council's role is far broader than this commission's, and that perhaps some of their minds, and I'm not speaking for them or defending them, but some of their thoughts are more broadly about the city and the direction of the city, not just about art display, while they strongly support this program and this committee and everything the civic improvement does. Their vision is much more broader, and they have to weigh all of those. And I only say that just because I see their challenges and I hear those discussions with them. And I want to put that in context. It's not a lack of support for the commission. It's not a vote down or a vote up, or how did we discourage something? It's honest feedback that they have as council and their best impression of where the city should be going. And it's fair that you get that feedback directly. So I'd be glad to work with you on that.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. And I'm not saying that they're not, this is not, to represent the commission. This is just, an update on this one project. And I realize that they're doing their best to look out for the city, but they are also elected officials. And so I would love, as a citizen, and, I would love to talk to those I cast my vote for, so that they understand, my position, and that, they can represent my voice, because they are elected officials to do that. So I will speak to them as both a citizen of a citizen, a resident, and a commissioner. But I would love to, just hear a little bit more about where they're coming from, because this has been an uphill battle since 2020, the summer of 2020. And we did engage them early. And they had problems with it from the beginning. It was, they're too political, they're this, they're that. And so we pared it down, we stripped it away. We took out, anything that people had problems with. And then it was timing, we can't do it because the election, there's a big election, and, there's so much going on, and we don't want to put anything up during the election time because people are so politically charged. And, it's been a very long and uphill battle. And just when we thought, okay, we're all finally on the same page, and we can do this and have this, really nice piece of history and art at the same time. It's kind of a 2-for-1. But yeah, we're not going to show an incomplete, just like a very, very tiny piece of something, when a more complete collection, or I should say they won't. So the Stories for Solidarity would rather see a larger exhibit be displayed elsewhere than just 3 pieces.
Hey, can I add like 2 things? Like, one, I agree, particularly, I think we did kind of telegraph this. And one thing that's slightly disappointing is that I think on all of the Explore Art stuff, we've come into this commission and said intent, and then have hit these sort of moments of like, oh, wait, please do X. And I would love to get more in front of those, because I think we know what we want to do. And so if there are more, I'd love to be covering them in this forum, because I do think sometimes we're finding out about them as we're like ready to go. So that was one point, because we've hit a couple of these on murals as well, I think. The second point is, I think the logic makes sense. I would understand the logic a lot more if we were using city funds, but a lot of this is we're self-funding and self-motivating.
Yeah,
So
but
like,
for what it's worth, it is on city property. And I think that's
I'm
the
just
concern.
stating my piece here.
Yeah.
Of like, I understand, like, I also understand the premise. I do think it's slightly harder to swallow, given how much of this we are bootstrapping versus not asking the city to fund the creation of a new thing. So I just like to register my own discontent I've had with some of this, of trying to get some of these programs going without a lot of, you've supported this tremendously. Margarita supported this tremendously on time, but like not resources.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it's
not
like hard.
interjecting any of my personal opinions in this. I'm just trying to share the information as I know it and help navigate, and that's my job. And I think you're absolutely right. We have to find ways to get in front of this a little bit more. And the council, I would certainly encourage that with not just this commission and all the commissions, and they've been striving for that. And we're trying to set the structure to do that with more regular updates and reports early in the process, before IDs are completely formulated, so that those considerations can be made. I think you're absolutely right. I think that solves a lot of the issues.
Well, and whether there's feedback and collaboration early in the process or not, I think that we all ought to be mindful that if we're putting forth controversial art, which I'm not saying we shouldn't, or I'm not saying what should be deemed controversial or what shouldn't, but we did know that this, for whatever reason, is politically charged. And that whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's Blue Lives Matter, whether it's a Make a Great America Great Again, or whatever the theme running through art is going to be, we may face some challenges. And there may be valid concerns as to those pieces. So I don't think that it's the right move to scrap the program unless the Stories for Solidarity feel strongly and don't want to have the panels donated anymore because of it. I think that'd be a shame, but I think that we're not all going to get what we want. City Council is going to have to take our recommendations and approve them. And we should just put the program in the best position possible and think about it on a broader scale as well. Because whether it's mural programs or whether it's Stories of Solidarity or whether it's monument signs, it's all part of what we're trying to do as Civic Improvement Commission and the Explore Art project in total. It's not everything about the program, and we don't want to jeopardize other projects because we've gone about it the wrong way or we're not handling things appropriately, and we just decide, you know what, we're not, City Council's not seeing eye to eye with the commission. Let's just not even play the game anymore. So I think we need to take a step back. And I think that if City Council and there's certain members who have concerns, let's hear about those concerns. I mean, like I said, some of those panels, we knew it was going to be a problem, especially at the location. I mean, you're talking about close to police department as well. So there are things out there that about, those panels and about, certain politically charged art that is going to get feedback and it's going to get some pushback. But I think that it's not worth scrapping the program for it.
When you say scrapping the program, are you
Or what I
referring to
mean,
just that?
Stories of
that-
Solidarity when you're
That
saying,
exhibit?
yeah, when you're saying we're just not going to have 4 panels up there, it's 9 or nothing.
Yeah, that I was saying that they don't want to just show a very, very, very limited number of panels when they could go elsewhere. Right?
So they're saying that we either display 9 or
I
don't.
shared with them, I mean, I won't repeat like necessarily the details of the conversation. They shared their disappointment as well. And they have, there's opportunities for them to be displayed and they are happy about that. They want to see those displayed in a place that wants them. They don't want to be where they're not wanted.
Well, maybe we should make sure that's clear to City Council, because I think
yes.
if it's an all or nothing proposition, that might change the calculus a little bit too.
I don't know. I don't know what they're, but I also, I love art. I want more art in this city. We've all put our blood, sweat and tears and, time into this. So I would love to see other programs be successful and, maybe this isn't the right place for that. I mean, look at the demographics here. It's just a different, maybe it's not the right audience. So, and that's okay. That's okay. We have to work within the parameters of what we have to work with. And if we need to, get everything run through City Council, then so be it. And if they want not, they don't want them up, then they won't be up. That's okay. We'll just keep trying with new projects and they'll be very vanilla. That's okay. They'll still be beautiful art.
Yeah. Anyone have any other comments or opinions on this? I think there is a concern about, I don't know if it's our commission in particular, but commissioners not collaborating with city council in general. And so I think we need to be mindful of that and make sure that they know where we're coming from, and we're doing all that we can to make sure that we get their feedback and they know we value their feedback. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, city council does have the final say on anything that we recommend. Is that right?
What's the mechanism? Because like, I
Well,
guess that's and that's a little bit of my earlier comment is like, we talk in here, we
So-
did a one-off presentation, like you connect, like, I guess maybe just for my own edification.
So maybe when we do the work plan in January, we can talk through those steps, but I think it's early engagement with a description to the council. It's coming to them early in the year with their work plan ideas of the things and ideas that we're going to start working on. Get their feedback on that initially. And then feedback as those programs develop. And that's something that hasn't, over the last several years, hasn't really happened as much as probably the council would like. And we've heard the council, as Commissioner Kaufman said, they're trying to create these feedback loops. They feel disconnected to all of the commissions in some way, and the commissions feel disconnected with them. And so we're trying to work it from both ways to build that up. But I think when we do the work plan, we can come up with some ideas early, present all those work plans to them early in January, what we'd like to do with all of the commissions, not just this commission, is come to the council in January, February, after work plans are drafted, say, here is our work plans. Before we move forward and start working on these, we want your feedback on these ideas. I like 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like 6, or I'm concerned about 7. That's good feedback early so that we aren't building expectations as we go. And we haven't done a good job at that. And that's not this commission's fault. That's us as a city in setting up that structure and that feedback loop. And then also, we've been trying this last year to set up meetings of the chairs of the commissions with the mayor to talk through some of those just collaboration issues, the disconnected issues, because commissions don't feel supported as they would like to feel. And that's not the council's intent. So all of those things that you mentioned are issues that we have to resolve, but not just with this commission. We do have to resolve them on a citywide basis. And I've been talking with council ways to do that. One of those is the early feedback and presenting the work plans early in the year, and then finding regular reporting structures for all of the commissions to come back. Not just to say we're doing this, but these are our thoughts. These are the things we're struggling with. We really would like to get some feedback before we move down this path on these things, because we don't want to spin our wheels and just waste our energies. It's valuable energy that we're all spending on these programs. And so that's just one thought. But as we talk about the work plans in January, we can kind of formulate those timelines a little bit.
Didn't we do that this past year, though? We did, right? Because that was a concern of the council that was raised, and they did review all the work plans for all the commissions, correct?
Yeah, we started
gave
doing that this
feedback,
year.
and
This is the first year
so-
we really tried doing
So
that.
we did do that.
They had the unified meeting too, because Carol
Yeah.
Hoffman.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we tried all those, and then we're not
And we're
quite there
still very
yet.
disconnected.
Yeah.
They're feeling disconnected from us. We're feeling disconnected from them. So, I don't know if this is the proper place to give 2 cents, but if we did that last year and nothing's changed, then maybe we should try some new mechanisms and
Or-
just a
I don't know if it
suggestion.
was the new mechanisms or how it was done, so we can talk more on that. We don't want to get off topic with what's on the agenda here, which is specifically this program. But when we talk about the work plans in January, let's have a more robust discussion on how we do that, both as a city and as a commission. I think there's some ideas there that can make that. And you're right, we did try that this year. It's been an effort for a year.
Mhm.
We're not there yet, right? Obviously needs more work in that
Obviously,
area.
yeah.
So-
And obviously COVID has impacted everything, not an excuse, but I think when you start getting into the details on some of these projects, maybe that's when you start running into some roadblocks. And, I'm surprised to hear that, if I heard you correctly, some city council members just wouldn't approve any of those panels.
I'm just trying to get a
breadth of the feedback that I got.
Right.
For anything, yeah, we love them too. I wouldn't put it.
Okay.
And that's the breadth of the.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, obviously on the project, no one wants this. I mean,
You're not
everyone
gonna get them all
spent-
happy, but we will get to a consensus, and that's what we
Yeah.
thought we did with the panel discussion.
Okay.
So I think with whether it's 5%, we never gonna make all of them happy, but we try to get the vast majority of them
Sure.
satisfied with the direction that we're going, and those that are more minority of something. Okay with it. So this is my thing, but I understand I'm in the minority. I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah.
And the council does accept that. When we talk to Jpa, we talk about some more.
Yeah.
Really set ourselves up for success.
So Commissioner Yoshikawa's point, Commissioner, Vice Chair Davis's point, we'll put the mechanisms in terms of feedback loop on the agenda for January. Okay.
Okay, so for that, then Brian, we can just set up some time to meet with Carrie Perkins and yourself and I and council members or how do we? Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. And we can just close that out tonight.
Okay, anything else on Explore Art Project Stories for Solidarity panels? Let's move to good of the game.
Commissioner Bratcher. So I'm happy I have my name tag now, so I can attend events. So I just wanted to announce or acknowledge that tomorrow is the, what is it, the dedication ceremony for the all-inclusive section at John D. Morgan. So if you're looking for a place to try out your name tag, we've got that coming up in addition to tomorrow night's meeting. So, and then the other thing I alluded to earlier, and it wouldn't necessarily need to be a subcommittee, but I had an inkling of an idea, and I'm going to kind of think out loud for a second. But I've gotten feedback from folks, especially people, the friends of mine that don't live in Campbell, that they're very impressed with our city's amount of holiday decoration. In particular, the amount of neighborhoods, not just individual streets, but whole neighborhoods that are so nicely lit up and the houses are decorated and everything. So I got to thinking about it because, you know, Los Gatos has got their tour of lights and such through Vasona Park and everything. And I thought, you know, once a year we do the, what is it, all city garage sale. You know, people send in and they register online and then that map is produced. I was wondering if maybe something similar could be done, you know, if people want to brag about their Christmas lights, but rather than just a random thing that people are driving around the city about, you know, because we used to have was a Carol of Lights that the Campbell Express put on downtown. That was a parade and everything. But I'm wondering if there's something else that maybe is there like a fundraising opportunity or some other community event opportunity that we could like coincide with it. Again, I'm thinking out loud. This is all kind of top level, but it's just like it just seems like our neighbors are so festive. I'm like, gosh, wouldn't it be neat to take advantage of that effort and that spirit? So, but I'm just throwing it out there just to kind of plant the seed of an idea.
You're
So-
thinking like in the vein of what Willow Glen does with putting Christmas trees on their lawns or.
Well,
something
but
like
just,
that.
I was thinking, you know, if we, you know, if people want to encourage people, if people are proud enough about their decorations that they want to, like, if we were to set up a registration system where, and maybe do a map, and we wouldn't have to print anything out, we could just make it available online. But, you know, have like a driving tour of Campbell neighborhoods and go see the lights, you know, kind of thing. Because, you know, who knows how long this COVID stuff is gonna last. We're, you know, it's just a couple weeks away from starting our third year into it. So it could be an interesting activity. And I was thinking, you know, if we're going to attract people from other communities, not just inside Campbell, wouldn't it be neat to then have like some kind of focal point of some kind, you know, like at I thought it was great, for example, that they've done those Christmas fairs at the Prune Yard. That's kind of interesting thing.
Mhm.
So again, it's just,
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
thinking out loud.
It's not a bad idea.
So I thought if we slam enough heads together, we might come up with an actual.
Yeah, I'm
And
trying
are
to
you-
think what subcommittee that might. Not doing have any more.
And are you
I mean, it's
thinking,
beautification of some sort.
Yeah,
Uh,
probably.
You know?
are you thinking of like just trying to publish like the extra festive streets or
Yeah.
on a
And-
map or something?
And, you know, maybe we make it a neighborhood association competition. And be like, okay, you know, we're gonna have an acknowledgement or something of the most festive neighborhood association, or,
Mhm.
again, I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, like Willow Glen, they do, you know, there's open air cable cars and things that do the tours and,
Oh, yeah.
you know, they sell lots of tickets and to be honest, I don't know if that's fundraising or if it's just private, but they sell out for sure, you know. So I don't know if there's something that, you know, could be done with that. It might be, I think a competition's always fun between neighborhood associations.
Sure.
Maybe it's just you know, which boundary, you know, which neighborhood association boundary area is the most festive or whatever and have some judges or something. Yeah, I think that this would have to go for next year, but yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But maybe
It's a pretty good
attack it
idea, though.
through the neighborhood associations.
Yeah, I just, you know, the season and everything, that's kind of what inspired me. And I thought, gosh, you know. So,
Yeah, no, I think that's something that, let's keep bouncing around the ideas and think about it. Because I think that's, especially around the holidays. I know we do the drive through Willow Glen and look at the lights and, you know, go to the radio station and all of that. And it's
and
great.
plus the tour at Basona Park seems to habitually sell out now.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And, you know, so.
I was supposed to be there right now, but I
I,
gave up my ticket for our commission meeting.
I know that, like, for example, when I was on the GPEC, the General Plan Advisory Committee, we had more than a few conversations about how great it would be if we had a Campbell shuttle to, you know, so that, for example, maybe you could park here at the community center and get taken to the prune yard or downtown or what, and it would be just not a big loop, but something basic. You know, just to get people around and spread parking out. You know, that was, I forgot how many times we had that conversation, but that was one of the ideas that was kicked around about how to encourage, well, lessen traffic. And, you know, so that something like that could be neat too. So.
They have that in Burlingame.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a trolley that takes you to a different area.
Oh, is that
Oh,
right?
fantastic. Okay.
So maybe we'll do some research about the trolley ride, if that's something that you think is a direction to go, or if not, you know.
There's lots of people that own them because I see them for sale on eBay all the time. It's ridiculous. So
Like
there
a
must
boat,
be
once you
somebody
buy
that
it, you won't
rents
get
them.
rid of it.
Sounds like your farm might need one.
Well, actually, I've got we finally started restoration on some of our vintage trucks. And they're great big flatbeds that they're like stake bed old farm trucks. And you could easily, you know, haul a group of people around, even mount some seats in them. And so that's a possibility. So.
As a lawyer, I'm thinking of the liability, but.
Oh, well. You know, there's
We'll
so
run
many
that by
things,
city council.
there's so many things that you sign your life away. on these days.
COUNSEL. Why don't we, so December 16th, which is tomorrow, right? 12:30 to 1:30 is the dedication, John D. Morgan Park. And I think they've been working on this project for like a year.
Yeah.
And so if you can make it at your lunch hour, it'd be great.
It's already getting good reviews on Nextdoor. So.
Yeah, it looks,
Yeah,
it looks great.
amazing.
It looks great. Okay, anything else good at the game? So when we move to subcommittee reports, I think we covered Campbell Cares unless anybody has anything else to add. Capture Campbell.
Yeah, we'll kick that off in the new year.
New Year. And Explore Art.
I think we're very excited. The website credit card donations are online. Very exciting.
Thank
Tell
you,
your
Diana and
friends-
Brian.
Tell your friends if they want to get any credit card points before the end of the year.
Miles.
And we included there's a spreadsheet of actions, and I really appreciate several commissioners helping out. It says mural action items, Exhibit A. Commissioner Bracker, you have access now to the,
Oh,
I saw your email. You have access to the location
I have to
backlog.
resolve my own technology issues.
It happens to the best of us. And Commissioner Kaufman and I have been collaborating on just making the mural outreach letter as punchy as possible. And Commissioner Dooley and I have communicated about the grants, which is great. And again, thank you, Diana, for helping clarify just questions, make sure that we're doing everything right on those. The only other one I think that's active is I am slotted to speak at the Campbell Chamber meeting January 20th. So maybe I'll practice my pitch when we get back together in January for that. But overall good. We're 1,400 in, and I think we're in a much better place to be able to process a lot more donations in an easier way for all of our projects. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And thank you again, Brian and Diana, for getting the credit card authorization set up. I think that we've got a really good foundation to make things happen in the new year, for sure, with both businesses and individuals. And seems like it's seamless. I've gone on the site, and by the way, I'd encourage commissioners to donate if you can.
Test
and/or
$1,000
support. Yeah, test
donation.
out the website.
Yes.
Just, you know, get some points and on your credit card, and let's make those numbers rise. Anything else on Explore Art? Okay. It is 8:55, and I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.